Southside 457.
Did you know that the Southside on Lamar is a National Historic Building?
This building tells a story.
I need a story to connect to with my heart.
There are so many stories in this building.
I wanted to teach other people how to naturally love themselves, and so I ventured into the field of opening my own spot.
There are people in this building with a passion to share what they know.
When I share my knowledge and my skills and my gift, I'm serving my purpose.
Preachers, teachers, architects, attorneys, engineers, artists of all kinds in this building.
What makes this place tick to me and makes it exciting is the combination of so many different kinds of people.
It's like a melting pot.
It's like a melting pot.
15 years, I've never regretted being here at Southside.
Welcome to the Southside 457 podcast. I'm your host, Walter Johnson Jr. Let's get it on. You can't miss the princess.
Listen, Linda, listen.
Southside 457.
Welcome back to the Southside 457 podcast. I'm your host, Walter Johnson Jr. And today we have a very special guest, Stewart.
Hello, Walter. How's it going?
I'm doing well, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, you've been... Okay, one of the questions I ask everybody is, you don't just end up at the Southside. You have to be invited. You don't just bump into the Southside. So tell me your story of how you got to the Southside.
I can give you the long story, or I can give you the Cliff Note version.
We're here.
We have.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was privileged to meet Jack Matthews and then Christian Teleke at the same time. This would have been 1998, so I was a student up at University of North Texas up in Denton.
And Jack Matthews is?
Jack Matthews is, man, the creator of this entire neighborhood, the visionary. There's not enough awesome compliments for that man and what he's doing down here. So, this would have been, 97, 98, and I was a student up there, and my college job to pay for school was hockey, so I refereed and ran some hockey leagues for adults and kids, that kind of thing. And Jack was a hockey player, and so was Christian. So they would come up there and play themselves, and they also had children that played as well. So didn't know them that well, didn't know their families or anything, but started to run the adult leagues and was the commissioner of the adult leagues. I put together the schedule, et cetera. And Jack, which should be a whole other podcast about his hockey career because it's infamous. I had to have a couple of conference meetings with him because he was known as Jack in the Box and would go to the penalty box quite a bit. So we had to have intervention one time, and there was some suspensions involved. So I had to have a one-on-one meeting with Jack, and then also Christian was the captain of that hockey team, so I got to intervene with those two guys at the same time. And I don't know what happened, but this is Jack's words, not mine. But apparently how I handled that meeting was impressive to Jack, and he said something to Christian like, we've got to hire that kid on some form or fashion. So that would have been around 99 or 2000, something like that. Okay. So I graduated in 01, and I went to a friend of his named Todd Cooper, a friend of Jack's, Todd Cooper, who owned a furniture business here in Dallas, and said, hey, I'm about to graduate school. I need to get a real career and get out of the hockey rink, that kind of thing. And Todd said, I'd love to hire you. I've got nothing for you, but who you need to go talk to is Jack. I said, okay, well, I know Jack, but what's he do? I had no idea, had no clue. So I go talk to Jack and then Christian, and Todd comes back to me and says, you need to go get on the internet, which was basically brand new, in the late 90s, and go look up Southside of Lamar. Ever heard of it? I said, no. Ever heard of the old Sears building? No. So I'm from Fort Worth. I had no idea. I had heard of Sears Roebuck and the Sears catalog and all that stuff. But so I go look it up, and I come back to Todd, and I said, okay, I looked up Southside of Lamar. Is Jack a leasing agent? It's an apartment. It's an apartment complex. Like he rents apartments. Is that what's going on? And he goes, no, he owns it. And I said, excuse me, and was blown away. So scheduled an interview, and then here I am. So that was 2001, 2002.
So did you move in? Did you move in the building?
That was part of my deal. So again, God bless those guys. They essentially created a position for me. There was as you know, there's an artist residency program here. And in 01, 02, Amazing woman named Charlie Steele had gone to Jack and created this artist residency program on the the gallery level floor, and it was just in its infancy. And Rolando Diaz is one of the first people I met here. Yeah. So they created this spot where I was basically going to help the artist management program, get the gallery off the ground level, have art shows, influence the arts here in the community. So, and Gilley's wasn't even a thing yet. So this was just Southside only in the neighborhood.
So you came in, you were part of that, and you lived in the building? I
did, yeah. So part of my compensation program was I got to come in here into a loft, and have that as part of my compensation program. So I lived on the 8th floor and got to know all the residents in the community, and I was blown away. It was a dream. I couldn't believe it.
So when you first moved to Southside, and you come from Fort Worth.
Yes.
So it's a total different. It's like a different culture. Was it a culture shock?
Night and day. Yes.
So
night and day.
How long did it take you to get used to it?
Oh, still getting used to it. Great question. Yeah, I think within the first year, I noted I was completely out of my element, just from all that diversity that was down here and still is and continues to get more and more diverse, that's the coolest part of this whole neighborhood. Yeah. And yeah, coming from a Fort Worth background is obviously that's Cowtown. It's one style of genre in Fort Worth for the most part. It's getting diverse itself too, but nothing like here.
So what's your biggest challenge?
Wow. Yeah. Well, to begin with, the arts. Like I did not have an arts background at all. So zero. I couldn't paint you. I could make you a stick figure. That's about it. So learning that medium and just how creative these people are. And, it was challenging to relate, I think, is the best answer to that question, to relate to just how talented these people are.
So how did you make that step and cross that bridge?
Great question. Yeah, research. At that time, there were 10 artists in here, and most of them were painters and sculptors, so that kind of thing. So I picked up some books. I watched some television programs, that kind of thing. And I even tried it. So Charlie was also an artist herself. So just kind of watching what she did, and she definitely taught me a lot of things about the creative process and how they get from, palette to a completed painting. And so just kind of watching that. But I quickly learned in about a month, I'm not good at this. God did not bless me with this gift of art. But it just made me appreciate it more.
So what was the issue with being the artist? I know you weren't an artist and not familiar with the arts, but what was the issue where you said, I just can't do it anymore? So was this too many colors for you?
It was, yeah. It was. Like I said, I couldn't draw you a picture to save my life.
You feel like you had to wear bare bottoms or something to fit in?
Something, yeah, something. They're, that's an eclectic group, but man, are they talented. Like the stuff that is created here in this building is unbelievable. But yeah, the program, it was hard. So again, I felt, I was 24, 25 years old right out of college, and had only had positions like hockey rink manager, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I was like, I really have no business running an art gallery, artist residency program.
Hockey rink manager.
I felt really out of my element. And in 0203, the program, which I'd love to know how it exists now. I'm sure it's quite a bit different. But how it was back then was if you were an artist in the program, you owed the building, or Matthew Southwest or Southside of Lamar, I should say, you owed 2 pieces of your artwork. That's it. So if you were a painter, you owed us 2 paintings every month. Well, guess who the landlord was? So if you didn't pay, just like you didn't write a check, you got a knock on your door from me.
Were those 2 paintings?
Well, hey, I need your 2 paintings. And we had a photographer in there at the time named Roger Moore.
Was that the guy that did the animals?
Yes, he did animals, and then he specialized in black and white photography. Yeah. But he had beautiful
lions and everything.
He had this awesome printer in the loft down there. I think it was 105. Anyways. Sculptors, obviously, and then we had a piano player in here, which I know there's one in here now. But it's like, how do I collect that rent from? Is he writing me music? Like, what is this? And
I need 2 songs now.
Right. I mean, literally. So they had to pay with 2 pieces of artwork a month, and then they had to do one art show in our gallery, in the Jeanette Kennedy Gallery, which I got to meet her and know her. So I knew her when she was alive, and man, amazing woman too. So really cool that the gallery's named after her.
Yeah.
But and then I had to I'm curating this show. Like, I'm sending out the invites.
You picking the pieces?
I'm getting the wine and cheese. I'm not telling the artist where to put stuff, but once they've put stuff on the wall, I've got to light it. I've got to, I'm just going, we might need a consultant in here or something, because what am I doing? So I did my best. So, but
a little overwhelmed with the process,
to say the least.
So how did you collect the piano?
Yeah, great question. So there was, MP3s was just kind of starting to be a thing. I mean, really, like, I know I'm dating myself, but it was, I would get a USB drive, or sometimes I got a CDR, like, literally. It was just a couple of songs, and like, okay, what are we going to do with this now? Like, it's beautiful, it's awesome, but but what turned out great was, especially on the paintings, is like the leasing office, the lobby, which I think some of these pieces are still here today.
I'm laughing because I could just imagine you not coming from that world,
right? And they knew that,
and
the artist knew that. They knew my background. They knew I was just some kid,
I could just hear you explain it to somebody. I got to go collect 2 songs.
Thankfully, I had, Charlie's the one that kind of created it, so she would get involved if she needed to, because I did get some pushback, some like, sorry, man, and like, literally, I remember, I won't name this artist, but he was so upset.
It was a he, though, right?
What's that?
It was a he.
It was definitely a he, and he was so upset that I was, pestering, and I wasn't pestering ever, but he went back and got a piece like red paint and just went shh, and then handed me a canvas with a stripe on it. And I had a rule that I sent out an email. It's like, if I can do it, it's not art. So if I can just do red stripe, we're not counting that. So
we're not going to count a red
I put that in writing. That's a true story. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, Fun fact about the residency program. So I don't know how it's operating today. I'd actually love to know.
Seeing what's going on in Southside now and the vision for Southside, are you on par? You guys on par?
Yeah, 100%. It's bigger and brighter than I remember seeing. The Matthew Southwest family at that time. I was in one of the offices on the 4th floor here, and there was a gentleman named Pete Coughlin that had a lot of Jack's like architectural sketches of what the neighborhood was going to look like. Here's what it's going to look like in the next 40, 50 years, that kind of thing. And I'm telling you, what it looks like now is, night and day, and I would say better than I saw those renderings. So on par, yeah, but past par, whatever is better than par, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a golfer. I just know
that
term,
so
I had to leave it there.
Birdies, eagles, whatever, absolutely. 100%.
Okay, so you mentioned Gilley. So you came here.
Yeah.
You started working in the artist quarters.
That's right.
You lived here.
Yeah.
How long did you do that before you started?
Yeah. I was hoping you'd ask that, because it's a funny transition. So, yeah, I did the artist residency program and pretty much whatever Charlie needed me to do it was about 10 or 11 months, and then I had to have an honest conversation with Jack, and so I went to Jack. As I told you, I just didn't have the background in arts, and so I got up the courage. I mean, at that point, I'm a 24 or 25-year-old kid, and called a meeting, and Christian was there too, and I said, you guys created this job for me. I'm so blessed. Like, I am not looking to give horse in the mouth, that kind of thing, but this just isn't. This isn't me, and I know Matthew Southwest has an umbrella of stuff going on, so is there anything else you might have going on? I'll be your janitor, it's something. And Jack said, funny you say that. We're going to start this thing called Gilley's Dallas, just right down the street at the old Sheps building, and I just hired the general manager. We plucked him from Billy Bob's yesterday, and you start tomorrow. So I didn't even, it's like, excuse me? Like another just, what? Like, okay, where do I go? And report, and so that was 2003.
Did you have a title?
Yeah, so it was his name was Doug Keller, was the GM. I was the assistant to the GM. Okay. So basically, receptionist, assistant, food runner. Go get my dry cleaning, whatever needed to be done to get the business off the ground.
So you're still currently.
I'm still there.
And
yeah.
What is your role now?
General manager.
Okay. And what does that consist of? And tell people about Gilley's.
Sure. Yeah. So Gilley's, goodness, we've morphed since '03 into what we are now. So in '03, we started as we were a honky tonk, and we were going to be the biggest and baddest honky tonk in the Metroplex. And so you're probably aware of Billy Bob's over in Fort Worth, which is, massive honky tonk that's world famous, and it's a great place. And but we wanted to create something similar in Dallas and compete with that. So we tried that for 4 years, from '03 to '07. And it just wasn't going well. We just talked about, you just touched on it, the Dallas crowd is completely different than the Fort Worth crowd. So we learned that after some hard lessons after a few years, and we started seeing that people loved the building, they loved what we were doing, they loved what Jack was doing with the neighborhood, but they wanted private event space, just a space they could come rent and do whatever they wanted to do. So at first we were like, no, we're a honky tonk, sorry, we're sticking with our country music and come in and ride the bull and that kind of thing. But then, they said, well, what if we paid you, whatever? I said, okay, what did you want to do? Yeah, we'll listen to you. So started doing private events, and then that business just went nuts. Yeah. And then thankfully, and I do credit, Matthew Southwest for this, so they went shopping for concert promoters, and then we started looking at, we need to diversify the genres of music in here. So let's stop doing just country music, because that's not working. So we started doing rap, hip hop, jazz, you name it, alternative rock, comedy shows, et cetera, et cetera. And then we started selling tickets, more people were coming down, and the rest is history. So that all happened in about 2007, and we haven't looked back since then.
So, do you remember when, I just thought about this when you were telling that story, and I'm trying to think of what year it was. 1990. No. It was 2003.
Okay.
2003, 2004. Ron Chapman from KVIL did his party, his retirement party.
Yes. Yeah. I was probably there.
I was there too.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
I was there
Man,
too.
Crazy.
So that was. I just thought about that.
Yeah. We did a ton of those radio promotion things, and we worked with pretty much anybody. We still do. We're open to every single type of event, genre event, you name it. We do it.
So tell me some interesting history that we don't know, or something that's funny, or something that
Sure.
Just something that we don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Common misconception again is we're still trying to get the word out of what we are. There are still people in the Metroplex that don't know there is a Gilley's, and then when they hear Gilley's, especially the older school, is like, oh, you're a honky tonk, and I mean, we couldn't be further from a honky tonk. So that's one misconception that's still out there, but something we like to boast about. We've had the last 4 presidents have had events in Gilley's, either fundraisers or presidential rallies, that kind of thing. Starting with George W. Bush has been there now 3 times. President Obama was there twice. President Trump there once, and President Biden there twice. So That's been really neat to just be on that level to host an event of that scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what was I going to ask you? Are you part of Canvas too? Do you work, do you do things for Canvas?
No, I don't do anything for Canvas, but we collaborate all the time. So as you can imagine, bands that are coming into town need a place to stay. So that's some, we put them up there.
So how is this all connected? Gilley's, Southside, Canvas, just,
Yeah. Well, again, Jack's vision is let's bring as many people down here as possible. Let's activate this neighborhood and activate it through the arts. So, Gilley's is supposed to be the beacon through music, primarily music and events specifically. So that's definitely how we connect with this neighborhood.
So where's the future for Gilley's, and where's the future for Southside?
Yeah, for the neighborhood, Southside?
Just
the
neighborhood,
the
complex.
Sure.
Gilley's.
You bet.
Canvas,
we keep growing, and I think through the events and through a lot of these charitable contributions, and I mean, we've been hosting church for the last 2-3 years, stuff like that, just to activate this neighborhood, activate the community, support the community, of course, and grow this thing, further south. Since I started at Gilley's, there's always been that bad omen of anything south of I-30. So we're here to debunk that myth, and it's very safe down here, and it's a lot of fun, and it's family oriented. It's not just a nightlife type of thing. So,
Anything I didn't ask you that you want to say?
Yeah. No, I mean, those are all great questions, but I've been very blessed to just be a part of this whole thing, and thanks for having me on here. So, yeah.
So I got a question, because there were some questions that were asked out.
Sure.
What's your favorite music genre that comes?
Yeah, music. Yeah. That's definitely, it's funny. So I started there, and we were just country music only. We had a few rock shows every once in a while, but it was country only, and country is probably my least favorite of all the genres. And I also don't drink. So my friends to this day still like, okay, so you're running a country bar. Like you're doing two things that you can't stand. And I said, well, yeah, that kind of works out, doesn't it? So, but no, since we started, bringing in all the genres of music, I love alternative rock. That's kind of my favorite. And then funny enough, 90s hip hop is always going to be big in my heart. So and East Coast specifically. So Tribe Called Quest is one of my all-time favorites. And then when I lived here, I know like DOC was in here. And I love, Ice Cube and Dre and all those guys too. So, but specifically 90s, 90s hip hop is something that I enjoy. So we've had a few of those acts down there too. Yeah. So, yeah.
Any funny stories?
Yeah, let's see. Funny stories. I've gotten to rub elbows with a few, celebrities down there, right? Rock stars, that kind of thing. But the one that I like to boast about the most, just because he was unbelievably great, was, Jack Black, the actor.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever go backstage unless there's an issue or something, and try to give the artist their space, and they don't want to be bothered 98% of the time. So Tenacious D was here for a show. This would have been 2012, 2013. Tenacious D was kind of a new, they definitely had their clout, and Jack Black had already done a few movies. But so they come to town. They're going to play a show. It's sold out. It's in the ballroom. And typically, again, there's backstage catering. Those guys come in, they eat, and they go sit on their bus, and you don't see them. So Jack comes in, and we're in the backstage hospitality catering room. It's called the Federal Reserve Room. And their entire band's in there, and Jack Black is in there with Kyle, his right-hand guy, and they're all eating and whatever. And I had to go back there. This is early in the morning. This is 11 o'clock. And I walk back there because I'm going backstage, and I'm cutting through, and he gets up and stops me, sees I've got a Gilley shirt on. Hey, man, I'm Jack. What's your name? Like, completely approaches me, and I'm going, hey, man, I'm Jay. What's, nice to meet you. What can I do for you? And he goes, well, I want to know about this building. What is this thing? He was just blown away. And I said, well, I'd love to give you a tour. He couldn't believe that I was going to give him my time. He was so humble and amazing. So we're walking the building. I'm giving him a tour. And at that time, we had a restaurant. So we had the Jack Daniel's Saloon, which was basically a barbecue lunch place, is all it was. So I'm giving him the tour. He smells the barbecue, and he goes, is there other food going on in here? I said, yeah, there's a restaurant up front. He goes, take me to it. So we go in there. There's people dining in there just from the neighborhood. And I walk him in there, and he goes, this is great. Like, what do you guys serve? And so I show him the menu, and he goes, okay, I got it from here. And he walks away and literally introduces himself to every single person in the room, all the just regular patrons and the bartender and the wait staff, orders a barbecue sandwich, sits down, and hangs out in there for about 2 hours, just shooting the bull with everybody. So that's one of my favorite stories, just because I was like, what a guy. That hasn't happened before or since, as far as like someone at that level of stardom.
So let me ask
Pretty
you.
cool.
That is cool. So do residents participate in a lot of activities here, or is it people coming from other places, or it's a combination, or have you done that metric?
Good question. Yeah, we've definitely hosted a lot of events for residents here at South Lamar. So we're huge fans. We definitely give the friends and family discount if you're a resident here, and it's usually birthday parties, weddings, family gathering, family reunion, stuff like that.
I think I get an all here on out VIP pass forever, right?
I think you do.
Yeah,
I think you earned that, Walter. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it. Yeah.
You got that recorded?
That was. I thought that was the point of this whole thing.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So he did tell you.
He did. Yeah. That's right.
But if you don't have anything else, or do you have anything else?
No. Yeah. That's it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for coming on the Southside.
Appreciate it.
457 podcast.
Yes, you bet.
We'll talk to you soon.
Southside 457.